Greetings, Catanians, and yes, you better believe what you're seeing here. I am back with another video that is not a replay of a Twitch stream. I just said, you know what? Let me open up Catan Universe on the phone, on mobile this time, and get you a full screen, full feature experience. And this is going to be a 40-minute game of Cities and Knights on the Fog Islands. We're going to 15 victory points. And the game said, Dupinator, you go first. And I said, all right, let me be just completely in my style of gameplay for my starting placement. And I immediately wanted the 598 so I could hopefully upgrade it to a city later on and have all of the commodity production because I knew someone else was going to take that spot. Now, I do set myself up potentially to be in a very bad spot because I knew that 9 wheat was going to be taken and then someone else was probably going to build also on the 9 wheat to kind of prevent anyone else from getting on it. So I may have to try to build on the 11 wheat and possibly the 12 wheat as well so I can start out with at least 2 wheat to have any hope whatsoever of saving my starting city from the first round of barbarians and subsequent rounds of barbarians after that. So we'll just see how it plays out, but I knew I wanted that 598 spot. The 596 spot with the second lumber spot would have been amazing as well, but looking at the other ore options, there was 4 ore and a 10 ore. I said I want the 8 ore. Always try to build on a 6 or an 8 or both, or 2 8s or 2 6s, whatever you can, because of course Inventor is always going to come into play later in the game and people are going to move hexes around. So just do what you can. And plus, whenever I build on a 3 hexes and at least one of them is an 8 or a 6, I always point my road so that I can set myself to build again on that 6 or 8 because it usually works out for the best. Because if someone swaps Inventor with my 5 or my 9, it could become a 3 or an 11, and that would just be the worst. And then if I had doubled down on one of those numbers, I'm now doubled down on a 3 or an 11 or a 4 or 10 if someone inventors that. But if I double down on the 8, no one can take away that 8. They can shut it down with the robber, but chances are I'll be able to place a knight in between the 9 lumber and the 8 ore and protect that 8 as much as I can by chasing away the robber as much as I can, depending on how much it gets shut down. Now, of course, you can't quite see it at the bottom left of your screen, but the robber does start out on the 10 gold, so that is something to keep in mind. If, for whatever reason, the robber doesn't get moved by the time you build all the way down to the 10 gold, there will be a robber there, but usually you don't have to worry about that in the Fog Island scenario. And now I was able, since I go last for my starting city, I was able to get on the 8, 11, 12. I strongly considered the 3, 4, 6, but I was like, I will be built on absolutely 0 wheat, and that will give purple and red entire control over the wheat production and how it gets traded. Thus, the trades would have to be extremely spicy to convince red or purple to trade wheat with me, as well as orange. So what I'm going to try to do is build my knight, of course. That's the main goal. I got the sheep from the 5. Now I just need the 8, and then I can do it. Now a 9 is pretty good for me. Red has double 9s, which is amazing, and they're on wheat and lumber. So they will be able to activate knights. They'll be able to build roads, possibly even ships. Actually, more ships, yeah, because they already have a ship off their 310 city spot. Now, you see orange. They build a road towards the 3, 4, 6. So, and I just got another lumber off of 9. So I was thinking in my head, if I can get a roll of 8, that will be the absolute perfect number for me because I'll get 2 brick from my city on the 8 brick. Then I'll get an ore off my settlement on the 8 ore, which will allow me to build a road and a settlement. But I'm going to need another sheep in order to build the knight and activate it because I'll have 1 wheat left over after I build the settlement. But I'm really going to need another 5. I'm going to need a 5 and then an 8 to be rolled. And if that can happen before orange builds the settlement on the 3, 4, 6, I could build a road and a settlement on the 3-4-12. So that's my goal for now. We'll just have to see how it works out. Of course, if orange builds on the 3-4-6 before I can get over there, I'll just build a road and a settlement on the 8 ore, double down on the 8 ore, and then once the pirate ship gets moved later on, then I can cast off with ships off of the 8 ore spot. But instead, I'm like, you know what? I really want the 3-4-12 spot. Let me get another ore hex and just triple down on the 12. In the wild chance that 12 gets rolled after Barbarians invade, so I can reactivate any knights I may have. So now, me and Orange are definitely locked in a battle for that area. Of course, if Orange builds on the 3-4-6 before I can build on the 3-4-12, I'll just go up north and build on the 4-12 potentially. But the dice rolls, they're looking pretty good so far. Now I have 3 sheep. I have plenty of sheep. I just need the ore. I just need an 8. So an 8 will bring me the knight and the settlement. So we're waiting on that. There goes another 9. Okay, so I have 7 cards. Not too worried right now because on my turn, if I can roll an 8, I will be set. If I roll a 7, I'll still be okay. I won't have to burn any cards, but I would really like the 8 because you see the Barbarians are 4 spaces away from invading now. So it might, on my next turn, that might be the turn to roll the 8 to build the 9 activated, because if I have to wait a whole nother round of turns, Barbarians might end up invading. Purple already has yellow level city improvements level 2. No one else has any city improvements whatsoever, and now Purple's moving ships in order to discover the first fog hex to be discovered for the whole game so far. Okay, I roll, and I roll the perfect 8 at the perfect moment, and then to call attention to the title of this video, I have the perfect amount of cards to build another road and steal the 3-4-6 spot from Orange, which will subsequently cause them to quit the game. How crazy is that? That I did such a nasty play, such a shutdown play against another player that it caused them to just completely rage quit, and they said, you know what? There's no chance that I'm going to stay in this game because of how angry I feel, or maybe they felt like I just shut down their chances of having any hope of winning. I don't know what was going through the head. I just know that I wanted that 3-4-6 spot, and that's how badly I wanted it. And I got the perfect amount of cards to build an extra road, then the settlement, and then build a knight and activate it, all before the Barbarians are close to invading. Now, I could have just built on the 3-4-12, kept my road, and built another road off of my settlement over on the right side of the board to get ready to double down the 8 ore, but I was like, I want a 6. I want to add a 6 to my list of numbers that are giving me resources, and what better way to do it to build on the 6 brick and also cut off another player. Now I've also set myself up. I can go build to that ore port if I desire on the 4 ore, or I could continue, double down on the 6 and build on the lumber port if I so desire as well. But yeah, crazy that my actions led to another player quitting. Usually I like to see everybody see the game the whole way through, but this was just a fun thing to showcase in this game, and now we get to utilize the bot for any 2-for-1 trades that may pop up in the future in this match, in this game. Purple, of course, building green city improvements level 1, and I roll dice. I had 8 cards, but I roll a 5 instead of a 7, so I'm very happy about that. I'll build the city wall because now I know my production is good enough to where I'm going to be having more than 7 cards a lot this match. So I'll go ahead and build the city wall. Now I can hold up to 9 cards. If I can get another city on the board, and you know exactly where I'm going to put that city on the 598, then I will build a second city wall on the city underneath the 598 once I can get it. But for now, I build a knight and activate it. So now I have 2 knights activated, and no one can match me on that so far. So unless red promotes a knight or builds another one, then if orange ushers in Barbarians, that's going to be a Defender of Catan victory point for me to push my lead to 5 victory points, because I already have the lead at 4, but that'll push me to 5, and then we can continue on. So we're only 10 minutes into this game, but things have gotten underway pretty well so far. You know, sometimes in a starting sequence of Cities and Knights, you get a bunch of dice rolls of 7. Especially in Catan Universe, the dice rolls are all over the place. Sometimes they make no sense. Sometimes it's just a bunch of 10s, or it's a bunch of 7s, or it's a bunch of 8s, and not a lot of any other numbers. You never know. But this game, production is up, and it's up across the board. Everybody seems to be able to do a decent amount of production, build a decent amount of things, except for Orange. And of course, now that they left, who knows how the bot is going to handle any production that comes in. They'll probably just trade it away at 2-for-1 rates for the human players, which is always very helpful. So now, the bot did not usher in Barbarians. If purple ushers them in, which they do, that's going to be a victory point for me. I'm going up to 5, plus it's a 9. So me, purple, and red, all the human players are going to benefit off the 9s. I really wish I was on that 9 wheat. But for now, I have a decent amount of cards here. If I can build a road down to the 8 ore, get ready to double down on it. And then also, if there is just a slight, 1 in a 50, 1 in 100 chance that these 11s or 12s can get rolled at just a couple times, I'm going to be able to reactivate my knights and potentially set myself up to build a second city. But we'll just have to see how that plays out. Now that I'm on 2 ore spots, my ore production should be definitely better. 4 ore and 8 ore, not a bad setup to have. So I will roll dice, and I roll the 8s. As long as I can keep rolling 8s, it's going to be 3 cards every single time. Of course, once I get that magnificent city on the 598, that's going to be 4 cards every time an 8 gets rolled, and one of those cards will be a coin, so I can start building my blue city improvements. I get the lucky trade. Red wants sheep because I know they want to build ships, so I utilize that to get a wheat from them, a 1-for-1 trade, and then I 4-for-1 all this brick I've been getting for a second wheat, and I build the city immediately, and then it immediately pays off. So now I get 4 cards off the 8. Now I'm keeping an eye on the Barbarians. They've just started taking a step towards invading once again. I'm going to need the 11 or the 12 just so I can get some knights activated again. But I'm glad that I built the city right when I did, because now with the 5, now I get my first sheep as well as my first coins already in my hand. So I can get those city improvements going on my next turn, assuming purple's 2 progress cards don't end up stealing any resources or commodities from me. But things are going very well for this first quarter, almost first half of the game so far. My next move, of course, after I start getting my city improvements going, I'm going to want to reactivate my knights. And then, if at all possible, if I could manage to get a 3rd city on the board, you guys know exactly where I'm going to put it. It's going to be on the 3, 4, 6. And that will bring me double brick, ore and coin, and sheep and coin. And also will just set me up with even more victory points as we continue on. Of course, with more cities, everybody's going to have to pitch in with more knights to protect against barbarians. I already have 1 Defender of Catan victory point under my belt. Let's see if I can get any more as we progress through this game. Now, red is doing very well. They're the closest to building down towards those 2 gold spots on the bottom left and bottom right of the board. But I think it's in the Fog Island scenario, and I've talked about this with some of my Twitch viewers and some of my Twitch streams, it's almost sometimes better to just stay on the main island in the Fog Islands. If you get yourself set up very well and you're on very good spots like I am, and there goes the 12 wheat, I am super happy about that, so I can reactivate my knights. But if you can stay on the main island and just get a bunch of production going and a bunch of city improvements and subsequently a bunch of progress cards, you're very set up. You don't really have to go build on any of the Fog Islands. And there goes a second 12. So the game is blessing me so far, because you don't get any special victory points for building on the Fog Islands. This is one of those Seafarer scenarios where you just get one victory point for building a settlement on a Fog Island or somewhere off of the main island. There's no special one victory point. There's no two special victory points. It's just one. Of course, by building out to the Fog Islands, you're automatically going to be contesting for Longest Road. But you can also contest for Longest Road if you just stay on the main island and if you build your roads smartly and in one continuous fashion. But just building up your settlements to cities, and then once you get them all built up, then branching out for more roads and settlements it just makes sense. It's a very smart strategy, and while you're doing that, you're building up your city improvements, you're building knights to protect those cities. You're really kind of doing it all. You really kind of have an all-around strategy, so it's really good to try to do that. Okay, so now there's 5 barbarian strength to 4 knight strength, 4 active knights, 7 gets roll, which advances barbarians, and I am actually set up to promote a knight, so I'll probably do that on my turn, of course, to get the victory point. Sometimes just Defender of Catan victory points are the easiest to acquire with, like, paying forth the lowest amount of resources, if you know what I mean. So I already have 2 active knights. It would cost me 2 more cards to get a victory point. So it makes perfect sense to just promote a knight and just wait till the barbarians invade, and then I get that victory point just for spending 2 more cards. Any other victory point usually requires more than 2 cards. Of course, sometimes you could have 4 roads and building 1 more road, or if you have 4 ships, building 1 more ship could bring you 2 victory points. But that really only happens once per game, unless, of course, you retake Longest Road. But Defender of Catan, once you get it, it can never be taken away from you. Longest Road can always be taken away from you. Even if you build all your 15 roads, all your 15 ships, all in one continuous fashion, so you got a 30-length shipping route, someone could still come in there somewhere along the way and place a knight somewhere along your shipping route system and cut it up, which could potentially take away those 2 victory points, take away that Longest Road / shipping route. Okay, I roll. I'm going to roll a 7. I do advance barbarians, and it's time to move that robber off the 10 gold. So got a few different spots I could put it on. Of course, I'm going to promote my knight once I'm done. So I'm going to put it on the 6 lumber, take from purple, because I feel like they are definitely the second in line for the power player behind me. I think they have more momentum going than red. Even though red has taken Longest Road, they really haven't done much. They haven't built a single city improvement. And there we go. Defender of Catan victory point number 2 with my only 3 knight strength. It didn't cost me that much. Plus, I'm also protecting some of my key resource hexes, so I can keep the robber off of those as much as possible. And now I'm up to 7 victory points. We are a little over 18 minutes into this gameplay, and I am almost halfway to victory. You see purple's at 5, red's back to 3. That's because they're just moving their ships around to discover more hexes, but they're basically at 5 with Longest Road. And the bot is just back at 3. They've been at 3 the whole time. Not much has been going on in terms of that, so I definitely feel I have the most momentum. Of course, purple already has the trade bonus. They're very close to that yellow metropolis. It's going to be 4 cloth, and as long as the 5 sheep keeps getting rolled once the robber gets off it, they will probably be in line to get that yellow metropolis. We'll just have to see how it plays out. And now my 8 ore will be shut down, but that's okay. I still have 2 wheat left in my hand. Amazingly, we had 2 12s get rolled. It's just crazy how that played out, so I'll be able to reactivate the knights. So yeah, but definitely my next move, if I could get a 9, for some reason the 9s have been a little elusive recently. I definitely want a 9 so I can build the settlement on the 8 ore and then build a green city improvement to get that started, to hopefully get some green progress cards in my hands so I can utilize those for my future strategic plays. Of course, purple is already pretty close to the science bonus. but it's just going to come down to these dice rolls. So my number diversity is pretty good. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12. So that is a very, very good spot to be in. I'm going to reactivate both knights. So now I'm back up to 3 knight strength. Of course, if I can manage to get another 11 or a 12, look at that. There's a 12, 2 more wheat, so I can chase away the robber and then reactivate the knight. That is the best spot to be in. It's a great feeling when you can set yourself up to get possibly a 3rd Defender of Catan victory point. I have been kind of in the back of my mind, I've been waiting to see if any of the other players with the Blue City improvement will have Deserter to steal a knight away from me. But for now, we're doing very well with our knight strength. We are tied. All the active knights have tied with Barbarian strength, and Barbarians are 2 spaces away from invading. They're advancing pretty quickly at a fairly good rate, so I may be in line for a 3rd Defender of Catan victory point. And if you're just getting those in the background as you're building up your cities, building your settlements, and city improvements, those do add up. Especially if you can get more than 3 Defender of Catan victory points, you had a very good game, I would say. There goes an 11. Amazingly, the 12s and the 11s are getting rolled just enough to keep my wheat production consistent. It's frankly, I'm mind blown that they've gotten rolled this many times, and I'm looking at the 9s and wondering, like, why are our 12s getting rolled about as much as the 9s right now? It's pretty crazy. So I'm going to chase the robber off my 9. I hopefully want to get a 9 to be rolled because that's going to bring me the lumber that I need. And I'm going to do the strategy where you chase the robber around. As long as a spot you share is shared by someone else and you have a knight on that spot, an active knight, you can just keep chasing the robber around the board. Very nice strategy to get more than just 1 card by chasing away the robber with your knights. I did steal a paper, so I did get a green city improvement, and finally the 9 hits. I get a 3rd Defender of Catan victory point, plus the 9 gets rolled. Everything seems to be going my way so far this game, so now I have exactly what I need to build a settlement. Plus, I'll have 2 wheat left over to reactivate my knights. Plus, an 8 gets rolled. I now have 12 cards. I have 2 city walls, so now I'm going to have to build a 3rd city just so I can get a 3rd city wall on the board so that it won't flash red when I have 12 cards in my hand. I'll be able to hold up to 13 cards once I have 3 city walls out on the board because you see my production just keeps ramping up. Very, very good things all around. Some matches are they just go very smoothly, and the whole way through you stay in the lead, and the other players are left trying to catch up. So the bot will build a ship. Looks like they're trying to get on that 3-for-1 port on the very far right side of the board. There goes a 4. I'm just like, I thought it was going to be a 7, but it was a 4 instead. Now all I have to do is not roll a 7. Of course, if I had Alchemist, that would be the best setup, so I could guarantee that I would not roll a 7. But I have 14 cards. I'm definitely going to be able to build the settlement, even if I have to burn cards. My turn, plus I have Merchant in hand. I roll another 4. The game is just straight up helping me out here with the dice rolls. Somehow I've gotten very lucky this game. A lot of my streams, I've gotten very unlucky with the dice rolls. I have Merchant. You saw me throw Merchant down over Purple's Merchant. Keep it on the 8 brick, but I want to have Merchant working for me instead of working for Purple. So I build the settlement, and then I also trade in my brick at a 2-for-1 right now to build the city on the 3-4-6. Plus, I'll reactivate my level 2 knight as the cherry on top. Now, there is 6 Barbarian strength to 5 active knights, so I'm going to hope that I can manage to get 1 more wheat. It's all I need is a 6, 8, 11, or 12, because the 11 or 12 will give me wheat directly. The 6 or 8 will give me brick that I can 2-for-1 as long as no one steals my merchant anytime soon. I get my coin stolen, which it always sucks to get a commodity stolen, but I already have Blue City Improvements level 1. And I'm more focused on the Defender of Catan victory points right now as opposed to building up my Blue City Improvements. So I will just keep going on with my gameplay and my strategy. Another 12. Are we at 4 12s with the total tally so far? You've seen how game-changing the 12s have been for me. They helped me save my starting city and all my cities after that in all the future rounds of Barbarians. I'm super close now to a 4th Defender of Catan victory point. The Barbarians are 2 spaces away from invading, so even if I roll Barbarian dice roll, they will still have 1 more space before they can invade. So I can definitely activate my level 1 knights. Plus I get a lucky 3. There goes a sheep and a claw. So now I'm going to get the Yellow City Improvements level 2, just like that. So now I have 3 knight strength. Purple only has 2 knight strength, and the other players don't have enough. So that's going to be a 4th, possibly a 4th. Well, actually, it won't be because there's actually 7 barbarian strength to 6 active knights. So I just barely am probably not going to be able to get a Defender of Catan victory point right here. Because even though red didn't roll in, either the bot or purple, I'm sure, will roll barbarians in. You never know. The barbarians, they could slow down their progress right now, but judging off of all the previous rate they've been advancing. Okay, so the bot doesn't even roll barbarians in, which is very surprising. If they manage to hang out at that last spot before invading for 2 more turns, that would be insane. Of course, I'm going to need an 8 or a 4 to get the ore, or a 6 or 8 to trade in for the ore, but to promote a knight, but it's not going to happen. Purple does usher in barbarians. We get defeated, but I knew I had plenty of knight strength, so I don't have to worry about any of my cities getting burned. Unfortunately, it's going to be red. So even though red has longest road, you see longest road doesn't always mean you're doing well, because they were not able to activate their only knight and save their 2 cities. So yeah, they have longest road, but their production just suffered a major hit with that 299 being now downgraded back to a settlement. Of course, the 10s have not been getting rolled that well at all, so it's going to be hard for them to re-upgrade that back into a city. But we'll see if there's a turnaround with the 10s. There goes a nice 6, so I can trade in 2 brick. I'm going to trade in for a paper, get Green City Improvements level 2, because I figure, just kind of taking a risk here, there goes another 12. I was like, I'll take a risk, see if 11 or 12 gets rolled on this next sequence of barbarians advancing, and it works like a charm. I think that's the 5th 12 of this game. I'm just speechless at this point. You know, they've literally saved my gameplay. I would have had to probably burn a city every time barbarians invaded. But the fact that I haven't had to burn a single city this game, and I don't see myself burning a single city at all for the rest of the game, speaks volumes to how great 12s were this game, which calls attention to the second part of the title of this video. Okay, so what's next here? I have the cards to build a settlement, but of course I'm going to need space to go build a settlement. So now I'm looking to expand off of my settlement on the my city on the 346 spot. I could go for the ore port, or I could go for the lumber port. Not really for trading lumber at a 2 frame rate, but more for building on the 6 again, so I get 3 brick instead of just 2, just to up my production there. I think that would be a very cool thing. Purple will get the science bonus, and this is one of the few games of Cities and Knights where Metropolises actually won't play like a huge factor in the final outcome of the game, because I'm already at 10 victory points. 3 of those were Defender of Catan victory points. Plus, I keep expanding my empire on the main island. Even if purple gets the yellow and the green metropolis, will only put them at 9 victory points. And I'm still looking to advance my victory points in the next couple turns here. I should be able to build a road and a settlement within the next few turns. Plus, if I can promote my knights, then I can have 4 knight strength and ensure that we win against barbarian strength, assuming some of the other players activate their knights. The bot usually is very good about activating their knights, so I can really rely on that. Purple has already activated one of their knights, so that would total up to 6 active knights, which we already have right now, actually, because red went ahead and reactivated their knight. So we have 6 active knights to 6 barbarian strength, because of course red does not want to burn another city, because they will be stuck with 2 settlements, and you know that is a recipe for failure, for loss in Cities and Knights, when you just have 2 settlements on the board and nothing else in terms of cities and settlements. Very hot trade from the bot. 2 ore for a lumber. I would totally do that if I had a lumber, but I do not. If I can somehow manage to roll another 12, which would be insane, I know, or an 11, I can chase away the robber off of my 8 ore and then reactivate that knight, which would keep us at 6 active knights against 6 barbarian strength. Okay, so purple will roll. Let's see what they got up their sleeve. It's going to be a 7, but we will get a yellow progress card. It's going to be Trade Monopoly, which is okay. I was hoping for maybe a merchant potentially, because you see my merchant got stolen from me by purple. It's now on the 5 sheep, or it's been there for a little while. Also, Resource Monopoly would have been great, but Trade Monopoly we can work with. Mainly, I will probably use it as a defensive move against purple if they get any more cloth or paper, because then they'll be that much closer to either Metropolis. So I'm going to want to steal away any commodities from them that I can, just to slow down their Metropolis acquisition. They did roll a 7, but they did not advance barbarians. So hopefully I can advance barbarians, and then maybe red can usher them in for my 4th Defender Catan victory point. It's too bad. I already would have been at 4 had I just been able to promote my level 1 knight to a level 2 knight during the last barbarian invasion sequence. So I roll at 8, and I move barbarians 1 more space. And at this point, I can trade Monopoly the paper. So I steal a paper back from purple, because they're pretty close. They're pretty darn close, I feel. They need 4 paper to get to that green Metropolis, so I'll steal 1 paper away just to set them back slightly. Plus, I can definitely promote a knight if I need to, but I'm going to trade in 4 brick for a lumber. I'll build a road, and actually, I'm tied with red for longest road. Red still has it because they are incumbent, but I am super duper close. If I built 1 more road, I would jump up to 12 victory points just like that. But of course, I'm not focused on chasing down longest road. I'm just focused on building as many cities, some very key settlements, and then taking all the Defender Catan victory points that I can. I now have 10 cards in my hand. I know that red has 2 blue city improvements, so instead of giving them more coin, I gave them paper instead, just so I knew that they would spend it right away. And I knew I wouldn't be able to utilize it that quickly for science bonus. And just in case if purple managed to steal the paper back from me, I'd rather red spend it, because red is not that big of a threat to me whatsoever. So that way the paper goes away and purple can't steal it. Now I get that 4th Defender of Catan victory point. Of my 11 victory points, over a third of them have been Defender of Catan victory points. That's how crazy and how beneficial Defender of Catan victory points can be. So never downplay the value, the importance of Defender of Catan victory points. And all the while you're protecting your cities and some of your key resource hexes with those knights. So it's just like a win-win. So there goes a 6. My 6 is shut down, unfortunately, but that's okay, because I have 17 cards in my hand. If I do not roll a 7, I should be able to do some pretty cool things. Unfortunately, Resource Monopoly will steal 2 ore from me, but we are getting very close to the ending of this game. I am twice as many victory points as any other player. Of course, purple does go up to 6, so I'm just slightly less than double the amount of victory points that they have. They did build on the sheep port. They're also built on the wheat port, so they definitely have some good ports. I think it's going to, for purple to catch back up, they got to take both Metropolises, the yellow and the green, to get into double-digit victory points, and then from there, they have to take longest road beyond that. They got to make some things happen. Of course, they can move ships from around the 3 lumber. They can move them over to that settlement that they built on the sheep port and go across the top of the board on the main island. And that would give them longest road. But we'll see if they do that. Thankfully, I did not roll a 7. I rolled a 10, which is not my favorite number of this game. But I will build Blue City Improvements level 2. I do have Master Merchant, so I can't really do much with that. I will get the trade bonus, amazingly. So now, I'm actually also 4 cloth away from the Yellow Metropolis. So if I can steal, well, not steal it, but if I can slide in there and take that Yellow Metropolis before purple, I will definitely have secured my absolute victory. No doubt in my mind about that. There goes a 4. Now I'm happy the 4s are bringing me not just ore, but also coin. Red resource monopolies wheat. Thankfully, I don't have any. And once again, I am looking for one last lucky 12 or a lucky 11 to really round out my excellent gameplay. And there goes the 11. It's absolutely amazing, really, that has panned out as such. So I'll be able to reactivate both my knights, and then I may even want to promote one of them so I can have 4 knight strength, because now purple has 2 knights active. They do have a level 1 knight that they could also activate, so that would put them at 3 knight strength. So I just want to barely beat them out and to Defender Catan, and then get a 5th Defender Catan victory point. That's really amazing. That almost ties the record for the most Defender Catan victory points I've gotten in a Cities and Knights match. I believe the most I ever got was 6, and I believe I made a video on that on my channel, which you can find. I think if you just search, you can search through the Catan Universe playlist, but I think if you just search Unorthodox Master Games 6 Defender Catan victory points, it should pop up. Something like that. That was also a very good video. I definitely won that game, with 6 Defender Catan victory points. Purple will roll. They roll the 5, and this is going to be key in me taking the Yellow Metropolis. I now have 2 5s because I used Inventor earlier to take that 5 off of the lumber out right by the pirate ship, and I brought it to my sheep. So I now have 2 5 sheep hexes, and I have a city on each, which is, I'm too excited. I'm stumbling over my words. It gave me 2 sheep and 2 cloth. If I could roll a 5 on my turn, I immediately will build that Yellow Metropolis. No question in my mind. Purple, instead of moving ships over to their sheep spot like I would have, they just build more ships on their current ship route and take longest road to go up to 8 victory points. I roll a 8, which is always good for me. Instead of getting 4 cards, I'm now getting 5 cards off an 8 because I also built a settlement on that 8 ore. Plus I have Resource Monopoly, and I know there's some sheep out there. And I was right. There was a bunch of sheep out there. So now I have 10 sheep total in my hand. It's just too bad my other card wasn't a merchant. Just take away the master part of that master merchant. It would have been a merchant. And I could have 2 for 1 sheep. And had a huge play on this turn. But still, I can 4 for 1 it, no problem. And still be able to do some cool things. So I'll trade it in for a lumber. Build the settlement on the lumber port. Mainly to triple down on the 6 brick, not so much for the port, because I'm not getting a whole lot of lumber production. I will then activate my knight and then promote it, so that way I should be definitely set up for that 5th Defender Catan victory point. Plus, I have the trade bonus, so I 2 for 1 the coin and 4 for 1 the ore for the 2 cloth that I needed to just barely sneak in there and take the Yellow Metropolis before purple could get to it. I am now 1 victory point away from winning the game, and we are in the last minute 50 seconds of this gameplay, of this video. I just need to wait for barbarians to invade. That's all I need right now. Of course, if anybody gets a deserter, then that will be turned around, but I have a feeling I'm going to win very, very soon. Red did not get a blue progress card, and the bot did not get a blue progress card, so unless purple does not roll barbarians, I will win on the next dice roll. Well, I won't win. I have to wait till it gets back to my turn. We'll see what purple does. All they got to do is usher in barbarians, which they do. My 6 is shut down, but now I don't care because I have gotten my 5th Defender Catan victory point. which puts me at 15 victory points, the winning number you need. So now I just have to roll, because you have to have the amount of victory points and it has to be your turn in order to win the game. Wow. 5 out of 15 of my victory points, which translates, if you can do fractions in your head, that's 1/3 of my victory points have come exclusively from Defender of Catan victory points, 33.333 repeating percent. So yeah, Defender of Catan victory points, always very big, always huge. If you get more than 3 or 4 of them. I made the orange player quit to become a bot, and 12s got rolled 5 times, 11s got rolled 3 times. So my wheat production, I have the 11s and 12s, mainly the 12s to thank for all the wheat that I got. Just an amazing game all the way through. I want to thank you guys for watching this Fog Islands gameplay, and I will see you in the next Catan video. Take care.